Montrose is an unspoiled, modern northeast of Scotland coastal resort, but it has played an important role throughout Scotland's past. The town looks back on its history with pride, but it has always looked forward to its future with confidence. Today, Montrose is a hub for holidaymakers and visitors, with attractions and entertainment for all ages. One of its greatest assets is its unique geographical position, surrounded as it is on three sides by water. Montrose has always been important as a seaport. Its natural sheltered harbour has a long history of trade, particularly with the Baltic and America. What other town can rival Montrose's backdrop of the Montrose Basin, the great tidal estuary on the town's west side? The long view, light and colour carrying the eye to the foothills of the Grampian Mountains, the skies, the memory of the constant horizon, the abundance of wildlife. The 2,000-acre Montrose Basin is a reserve in the care of the Scottish Wildlife Trust and is a short step from heaven for birdwatchers. It's an internationally important site for migrant and resident waders, geese, duck and other wildfowl. Watch seals and otters from the reserve's observation hides. There's every chance you'll see kingfishers and, with luck, the star attraction of an osprey. The 4-star Visitor Centre has a year-round programme of children's events and formal and informal educational groups. Montrose was a wealthy town in the 18th and 19th centuries, and covered closes going off the High Street are the entrances to the courtyards of the original merchants' houses. The townhouse, or ball house with piazza beneath, where Montrose merchants met to transact their business, dignifies Montrose's wide High Street. The town centre has a choice of national outlets and independent gift shops, a traditional ice cream parlour and cafes and bistros. There's free car parking within easy walking distance of the High Street. Montrose locals are known as Gable Endies because of the unusual way they built their houses, gable end onto the street, influenced by styles they'd seen on the continent. From whichever direction you look, the towering steeple of Old and St Andrew's Church, the Old Kirk, dominates the centre of the town. Inside the church, a hearse hangs from the ceiling, not an undertaker's conveyance, but a handsome 16-branched candelabrum presented to the church in 1624 by Admiral Richard Clark, a Montrosian who served with distinction in the Swedish Navy. The kirkyard steps lead from the church through the old cemetery down to the mid-links, a green space of parks and gardens stretching the length of the town and a favourite place for locals and their children. Visit Montrose Museum at the end of Museum Street, across the road from the foot of the kirkyard steps. The museum itself is historic and is one of the earliest purpose-built museums in Scotland. Displays tell the story of Montrose's rich maritime history, its social history from earliest times, and the natural history of the area. An unusual exhibit is a death mask of Napoleon Bonaparte, one of only several made. It's a short walk across the mid-links to the new Montrose Sports Centre with 2 swimming pools, health suite, 50-station fitness suite, squash courts and a creche. Older children can enjoy gymnastics, football and the centre's dolphin swim school with holiday clubs available during school holidays. Montrose is a wonderful seaside resort with 3 miles of golden sands. The Seafront Splash on the promenade is a purpose-built safe play area for small children, and a larger area for older children has paddling pools, climbing frames, zip wire and other activities. There are picnic areas and a family-run cafe, plentiful car parking and toilets. Golf has been played at Montrose since 1562, and Montrose is the 5th oldest course in the world and a classic links course. The 1562 course has consistently appeared in Golf Monthly World's Top 100 courses and has 3 times hosted the final qualifying competition for the Open. The 1562 course is complemented by a popular, less challenging 18-hole course. Montrose tennis courts are on the mid-links. There are 6 all-weather floodlit courts with year-round coaching programs for all ages and abilities. If bowls is your game, the Hope Paton Bowling Club, one of 3 bowling clubs in the town, is also on the mid-links. Montrose played an important part in the Scottish arts renaissance of the 1920s. Sculptor William Lamb left his studio and its contents of sculptures, prints and drawings, and his tools to his native town. The William Lamb Memorial Studio in Trades Close, one of the traditional closes at the north end of the High Street, has free entry. No other Scottish town of similar size can match Montrose for the heritage and quality of statues which enrich and contribute to its environment. The town is fortunate to have a memorable sculpture trail of historic and contemporary works of art, many of which are the work of William Lamb. Scotland's national bard Robert Burns had close family connections with Montrose, and an evocative statue of the poet, situated beside the distinctive Scottish Episcopal St Mary and St Peter's Church, gazes across the Mid-Links public gardens. The most recent addition in Wharf Street, overlooking Montrose Harbour, is the larger-than-life statue of Bamse, a remarkable World War II Norwegian St Bernard dog who was a symbol of freedom and inspiration for the Royal Norwegian Forces and Allied troops throughout Europe. Bamse died on Montrose Harbour front in 1944, and his grave is still cared for in the dunes looking over the harbour estuary and the 18th century fishing village of Ferryden. Blow away the cobwebs on the walk from Ferryden to Scurdie Ness Lighthouse, whose friendly winking light has sent its message of comfort to mariners since 1870. A highlight of a visit to Montrose is Montrose Air Station Heritage Centre, the former RAF Montrose, Britain's first operational military airfield established in 1913. You can spend an absorbing morning or afternoon exploring the restored operations huts and displays, and the enviable collection of military aircraft, including a replica World War II Spitfire. And you might meet the Montrose Air Station ghost. On the outskirts of Montrose is Charleton Fruit Farm. Pick your own soft fruit and vegetables in season or buy them fresh from the fields. Enjoy a family day out on a working farm which includes a busy cafe, country gift shop and a play area for the kids. Montrose's excellent road and rail links are a gateway to Scotland's northeast, especially the cities of Dundee and Aberdeen and their airports, and Perth, Edinburgh, Glasgow and Inverness. All are cultural centres with art galleries, theatres and concert halls. Montrose is within easy reach of neighbouring pristine beaches and rugged coastal scenery and walks. The golden sweep of Lunan Bay sands 5 miles south of Montrose have attracted generations of visitors. A large car park and the Lunan Bay diner make this an ideal destination for a family day out. 5 miles north of Montrose is spectacular St Cyrus Beach and the St Cyrus National Nature Reserve, one of the richest and most diverse nature reserves in Scotland, awash with colour and wildlife in the summer. The cliffs are a nesting area for buzzards, peregrine falcons, kestrels, and, most unusually for the northeast, ravens. There's good car parking and free public toilets at the visitor centre, and a short walk over the dunes takes you to the beach for picnics and swimming. North of Montrose, and just south of Stonehaven, is the historically important medieval fortress of Dunnottar Castle. Built high on sheer cliffs, overlooking the North Sea. Its most atmospheric castles, its brooding impregnability guaranteed it a role as one of the locations in the film Braveheart. Drive out of Montrose into the Angus heartland. The Angus Glens, Prosen, Ogle, Lethnot, Isla, Clover, Esk stretch deep into the hinterland. The deeper you venture, the more highland they become. You'll find history, atmosphere, wildlife, skies, rivers, lochs, castles, traditional shooting lodges, abandoned villages, wild beauty, red deer and red grouse, eagles, romance, intrigue, murder, a whisky trail, a fugitive cave, heather, and peace and tranquility. There's a patchwork of tracks and paths for all abilities of walkers. Cycling is one of the best ways to experience Scotland, up close and personal, and Montrose is on the coast and castle's north cycle route from Edinburgh to Aberdeen, part of the National Cycle Network. Between Brechin and Montrose, the House of Dun is an elegant example of a Georgian country mansion, designed by foremost Scottish architect of his day, William Adam. Now in the keeping of the National Trust for Scotland, you'll get a very real insight and comparison into the lives of the aristocracy and life below stairs. Other historical houses of note and architectural interest near Montrose, and with gardens to visit, are Dunnottar Castle, Gallery House and Langley Park. The northeast is rich in castles and historic buildings. A short drive from Montrose takes you to Brechin, Scotland's smallest city, which gains its title from the cathedral, with beautiful stained glass windows and adjacent vernacular round tower. Relive the glory days of steam railways with a trip on Brechin Railway Preservation Society's Caledonian Railway, one of the most visited tourist attractions in Angus, with the emphasis firmly on a fun day out for young and old, and the chance to meet Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends. Nearby is the Victorian village of Edzell at the gateway to the Grampians. Edzell Castle and its Renaissance decorative walled garden is one of the gems of Scotland's great historic castles. Whisky, the blessed water of life, the crater, the barley bree, is Scotland's gift to the world, and half an hour's drive from Montrose, in the historic village of Fettercairn, whose handsome red stone arch commemorates the visit of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, is Fettercairn Distillery, one of Scotland's oldest malt whisky distillers. Nature's gifts of pure mountain spring water and locally grown barley combine to produce balanced malt whiskies of fine character. Distillery tours are available from Easter to mid-October, and there's a visitor centre and shop. You want to trace your Angus roots? Angus Archives, housed in the purpose-built Hunter Library at Restennett Abbey near Forfar, has 800 years of genealogical records, documents and photographs, which the family historian can research free of charge if you visit in person. Parents and grandparents bring their children and grandchildren to Arborath to give them a ride on Kerr's miniature railway, the wee railway on the seafront, so they can relive their own childhoods. In its day, Arborath Abbey was one of Scotland's grandest abbeys. Today, its importance is its link with the signing of the Declaration of Arborath in 1320, and its association with the Stone of Destiny. Hospitalfield House on the outskirts has a wealth of connections with the arts of the 19th and 20th century. Kirriemuir, a short distance from the main Aberdeen-Dundee motorway, is known as the gateway to the Glens, but it is well worth a visit in its own right. Sir J.M. Barrie, creator of Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up, was born and grew up in the Weaver's Cottage in Kirriemuir, which is now a museum to the author and his most enduring character. Statues of Peter Pan and AC/DC frontman Bon Scott, whose early years were spent in Kirriemuir, are features of the town, and you won't be able to drag the kids away from the Peter Pan Neverland Play Park, with the Lost Boys hideout, Captain Hook's pirate ship the Jolly Roger, and the crocodile. Tick tock. Montrose is the perfect destination for a fun-filled family holiday and days out. You're never far from the sea, the countryside, the heather-covered Angus hills and glens, a heady mix of history, and loads of family-friendly attractions. Come and experience a truly Highland welcome in magical Montrose, your destination holiday.